Hello everybody. In this video we're going to cover a custom TV output page that I created which showcases a really high quality professional looking presentation that you can copy for your tournaments. So we've got the standard leaderboards that you're used to, but in this case we're using custom backgrounds. We're going to use custom text sizes, colors, color schemes, themes, as well as additional slides between the leaderboards, which can showcase sponsors and can show off announcements that you might have for the general public. So let's take a look at the first screen that we're looking at right now. I've got it in static mode, so it's not really moving anywhere. Just that ticker at the bottom is moving in the background video. But otherwise, we're just looking at a single leaderboard. And if I press space, we can start that. But before we do, notice that this particular leaderboard has kind of a bluish hint to it, like a kind of a transparent blue on top of this custom video, and that title bar, Bay Leaders, is kind of a white background. So that looks pretty nice. We've got the logo there at the top for the tournament, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the space bar to play to the next video here, or to the next slide. And this is our first sponsor, which should show about 3 seconds. And then we should fade to our next sponsor, which goes for about 3 seconds as well. And then we're going to jump off to our offshore release points, which showcases 5 leaders, 3 of them highlighted. And then a really cool kind of a purplish background with a purple leaderboard. Everything looks pretty nice on that one. And we have then a default video background with an orange leaderboard as well. And then finally, we have an announcement, a custom announcement that we can use with a custom video background, just announcing whatever we want. So should stop here at this Bay Leader. So I just press stop there. One last thing I want to show you before we jump over to seeing the settings that make this up is there at the bottom. Notice that we've got updates now. So we actually have custom text that's showing between our latest events. So we've got our latest events with who caught what at what time. I think we're just showing 3 custom events. And then after the third one, it should just jump back to our notifications. And again, we can type whatever we want. We can have as many notifications as we want. I think it's up to 10 is the amount, with whatever text we want to show. And if it's long text, it'll just scroll there. So let's get out of full screen mode. I'm going to press F11 to get out of full screen mode. And we'll close this tab. Actually, we'll open it up in just a second so we can look at it. But let me show you what that looks like in the editor. So I put my Tournament TV output controller all the way here at the top. Normally it's at the bottom, but that just lets you be able to see what I'm doing here. So our Tournament TV output controller right now is in manual mode, set to display by default our slides for 5 seconds, so our leaderboards and sponsors and everything for 5 seconds each. And the background video by default will be this big US flag. If I click the editor to edit this, you can see I've got that background video chosen. I could switch that to a static image if I wanted to, but I'll keep it as the video. And I would normally put this into automatic mode, but I will keep it manual mode for now so that I can show you what each of these slides look like. And on the display tab, this is where I'm setting the text sizes. So I've set our titles to be a little bit bigger. Normally they're 26 and I set them to 34. And as well as the leaderboard rows. So that's the names of the teams and the anglers. Normally that would be smaller, 32. I set it to 60. Because of that, I can only show a certain amount of winners there. So I think the maximum amount I could show is about 5 before it gets cut off there at the bottom. If you need to show more, obviously you can set that back to the default or something a little bit smaller. And then finally, I have a little darkened background setting here. It says 20%. I darken the background about 20% just to make the white text stand out. And of course, you can change the text colors if you want to for anything here. So that's the kind of the default TV output controller settings. Got the logo at the very top, and then I'm hiding the control bar, so we don't really need to know that this is live results. Obviously, they are live results. And so our first leaderboard, which let me just show this up here in the screen again. The first leaderboard that you saw was our bay leaders, and we've got this bay background, or it's kind of like a lake background, and over a sunset. And notice the kind of the blue tint to the background. If I edit this leaderboard and I choose the theme, we are on a deep blue theme here. So that's why you see this blue coming through. But normally the blue would just show here, and then and behind the title, and then in the background it would just be kind of black, like grayish. This case, we've got the blue showing through, so that is because we've got this additional background color that you see down here set. So I chose blue, which actually looks nice. It's basically, I'm just matching the same colors as the theme. And then I set the background transparency of that background color to 50%. So it's blue and then kind of like 50% transparent. So that's why you see this blue, 50% transparent on top of the video that we have chosen. Another one thing I wanted to show you is Bay Leaders is on a white background, not on a blue background, as it would be here. And that's because I put the header type, I selected header type white bar. If I wanted to have a blue background, I could just use the theme header or put a logo in there if I wanted to as well. And finally, the TV output page here has that custom background video. So that's our fisherman there. And we're just having the display time use the default 5 seconds from the tournament output controller there. Second slide here is a simple image, which is a huge logo, a simple image of our Bass Pro Shops. We have that image set here. We have the image size set to 100 width, so it's going to use the width of that same image, as big as it can make it. And the TV output, which is the tab here, lets it show for 3 seconds, not the 5 seconds from the output controller, but we're showing it only for 3 seconds. So if you wanted, for example, to really highlight a particular sponsor, you could set this, much higher, 10 seconds, even up to minutes if you wanted to. The image overlay, which let me swap over to this slide here. This is the image overlay. We're overlaying text on top of the image. In this case, it's actually a little bit above it. Proudly sponsored by. Whatever you put in here is going to show up over here. You can't see it, but it's actually white text, and I will show you where it is if I just select like that. So how I actually created this is I had black text. Where's black text? And then I wrote everything I needed to do, and right before I saved it, I gave it a couple spaces up here at the top just to kind of push it down. And then right before I left it, I turned it to white text. Basically disappears, and then I just hit save changes, and now you can see it's kind of on top, but when we have a lot more space, it pushes it up a little bit higher. If you wanted to be on top, you could literally add more spaces and push it all the way down. Then I copied this, and I made a second copy, simple image, and I just swapped out the logo. So I've got my second logo in here for my second sponsor, and also set for 3 seconds as well. So let's jump over to that, and there's our second sponsor, and then we jump over to our next leaderboard, which is our offshore release points. So again, we've got that white header background. This is a different theme. This is that red theme. Notice that we're not using red in the background or blue as we did before. Instead, if I go here and edit that leaderboard, I'm going to click the TV output tab, which is where we choose that offshore background. And I set this display for 4 seconds. So this leaderboard shows for 4 seconds. On the display tab, we're highlighting the top 3 anglers, which you can see there in yellow here, those 3. And by the way, if you notice that we've got the angler photo. So if you do have photos of your anglers, you can go down here where it says angler photo, and you can always show them, and you can either make them small, medium, or large. This is medium size. Large size would be a bit bigger. It probably would push off number 4 and number 5 into the ticker there at the bottom. So I kept them as medium. And finally, on the theme, we're using that red theme with a header type of a white bar. Red theme here, white bar here. And at the very back, we're adding an additional black over the rows of 60% transparency. And that's this black that you see on these 5 rows. The highlighter, it always makes it a little bit darker. But this is what it would look like normally, these number 4 and number 5 there. So that looks pretty nice. Let's jump to the next slide here. Let's see how this one's done. So this is that purple video. So actually it's a fully purple video in the background. And to match that purple video, we chose a purple theme for the leaderboard and a purple background color. So purple, purple, purple makes everything look pretty cool. I'll show you what that looks like here in the settings. So this is leaders by points and weight. The theme is a coral purple theme. An additional background color, I just picked it right from here, I believe, and just pressed purple. And then I put that as 50% over the rows. I picked a header type of black box. Header type right here is black box. So it's a black box around the text on top of a purple background. And these, and there's that purple 50% video, 50% background transparency, which is what's recommended for video backgrounds. The TV output tab shows that custom background video. Here we've got a lot of different options. So if you were to choose a different one, you could look down here and you've got, there's one that's blue, green, yellow, red. This one has got a couple different colors and also, a lot of different backgrounds. So this is completely blue bubbles and stuff. So, but anyway, I like that one, how that came out. It was pretty cool. And then I had this leaderboard set for 6 seconds. So I'm not going to save those changes. And now our next, I believe, and final leaderboard is one on the default background. This is like the same as the purple, but in orange. I'll just show that really briefly. TV output uses the no custom background video, which means that it's going to show the US flag. And because we set that in the TV output controller. The display, the theme tab is where we chose the orange sunset gold theme with an orange color, which I just choose from here, and 20% over the transparency. So it kind of just shows through 20% over, and it looks pretty cool. All right, so now finally, our last slide is the announcement. This announcement is done with an HTML5 video component, HTML5 video. There you can just basically put a full video and then you can put some text to overlay. So we have a full video here, which is just a kind of a dark US flag, that thing right here, and the text overlay that we put on top of that, which is done on the TV output tab of that same HTML5 video. And there's the text. Some of it's in white, so you can't really see it, but you kind of could highlight it if you wanted to. Let's see, like raffle tickets. And again, you can put whatever you want. I can open this up really large, and I can just type whatever text I want in there, and then of course set it white before I'm done to make it really stand out. Here on the general tab, let's say you wanted to just put like a commercial. You could literally choose a 30-second commercial for one of your sponsors, put it in as the video. You could upload that into your library, put it in as the video, and then just make sure that you set the display time to the amount of time that video will run. So let's say 8 seconds. In this case, we would set it to like a 30-second ad. We would choose 30 seconds from here, from this list. And so there's that. And finally, this little ticker at the very bottom. Remember, we have our latest events, but we also have some custom text in there. So let me show you how that's done. So the little ticker at the bottom has 2 different feeds. Here's our latest events, our latest catches. You can customize the colors, the red and the black here. You can set it to whatever you want. I just put the little latest title as the title that shows up over here. And then here we have updates for our second feed, which is the custom feed. And I call that updates on a blue background with a kind of a dark blue looking feed background color. And then we can have any text that we want. So here we have free beer at the entrance with the purchase of a raffle ticket. And then the next one's reminder: all captains must bring their fish of the way in themselves, no one else permitted. And that's what you see here, free beer. Notice how free beer is highlighted. I'll show you how to do that. And then here, reminder, all captains must bring their fish to the weigh-in themselves. And longer text, of course, scrolls there. Anytime you want to highlight something in yellow, you just put brackets around it. If you forget that, that's down here. It says use brackets for highlighting. Here is your here is highlighted text as an example. And I can have up to 10 messages. So I could turn on the free beer message, and then I could put in another one. I'll check this box, and I'll just type in your custom text announcement text here, and I'll just say here. I'll put here as in highlighted, a highlighted view. And when I put it in brackets, of course, it will become yellow when it's out there. So if I hit Save Changes, that will then appear in the next version of that ticker. Finally, if I make any changes, and I've got this thing live here and just running by itself, if I make any changes and my TV output needs to change dynamically, and I don't want to run over to the TV and hit refresh on whatever's powering that TV, the connection, I can hit this little button right here, Refresh Display. It tells me all active displays with this TV output controller should automatically refresh within 10 seconds. I just saw this one refresh, and there we are. It just refreshed back to the first page. And if I hit play, which is the space bar here because I'm in manual mode, it will then start fading over to one to the next. So anyway, that's how you do it. That's how you make a really nice, for me at least, looks like a very professional, very usable, and very, very informative display for the tournaments. Feel free to copy anything you want and have fun.